أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته brothers. Inshallah we are back after a long period of holidays, few weeks, and we're starting Al-Abadilah, the series that we have started almost 10 and 11 weeks before the holiday started. Inshallah today we're going to finishing the biography of another great Sahaba that we started probably 3 or 4 weeks just before we stopped. That was no other than Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab. Also today inshallah we'll finish his biography, and then again we will have a short break for maybe 3 weeks because I'm not in Sydney. Inshallah when we're back, and we'll start the last two Abdullah ibn Zubair and Abdullah ibn Masud. So very quickly, we're going to do a quick review because a lot of us has came back from holidays, so probably our memory got a bit weaker. So I'll remind myself and all of ourselves that we're talking about the 4 Abadillahs. We already talked about Abdullah ibn Abbas. Now we're talking about Umar ibn Khattab. We're talking about Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. We finished that. And then next one will be Abdullah ibn Zubair ibn al-Awwam. And the last one we said Abdullah ibn Masud, the senior Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Masud radiyallahu anhu. And when you talk about them, we talk about their family and their background, their interaction with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, their personal life, their Islam, their struggle of their own life, in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also their contribution to the politics of that time, to the society and to the Islam. Now about Abdullah ibn Umar, we'll go through the next 2 slides will be their review very quickly. Very quickly we're going to go through them, what we did. So we talked about how when he was born, he was the eldest among the 4 Abadillahs except for Abdullah ibn Masud, because Abdullah ibn Masud is much older than them. So about the young 4 Abdullahs, he is the eldest one. So, and he was born just after 1 or 2 years of revelation, and his father is no other than Umar ibn Khattab, and we did a quick review of the life of Umar ibn Khattab. Also his mother was Zainab bint Ma'zoom, was a Muslim before Abdullah was born. His own Islam, his growing up with Prophet Muhammad, as we all said that he didn't have a childhood, meaning he spent all of his time in the childhood with following the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was called the walking Sunnah, just like Prophet Muhammad called is the walking Quran. He is the example of following the Sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet Muhammad used to ask about him in a gathering, although he was very young at that time, but he has importance to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, he had double access to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because through his sister Hafsa, because Hafsa was married to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also his father Umar ibn Khattab was a very close figure and Sahaba to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The moment of advice and affection, we talked about those. The battle alongside Prophet, how he always eager to join in the fight in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He tried to attend in the Badr, but he was very young. Even in Uhud, it happened the same thing. But from the Khandaq, he started taking participation with Prophet Muhammad. The hadith of the tree and his dream, his humility and shyness, we talked about this. And when Prophet passed away, how he and his family was shocked, we talked about this. The last week we talked about his interaction with his own father. So during the time of Umar ibn Khattab, how he used to look, how his physical look, and when he grew a little bit younger, became a young adult, how he looked like his father, and also his comment about his father. We talked about all these things. We talked about how Umar's attitude as a father to his son and to other children. Although he was a Khalifa, we talked about this thing. We talked about the incident of the divorce from Umar. So basically Umar, how he ordered Abdullah ibn Umar to divorce one of his wife, and although Abdullah was in love with that wife, and Abdullah didn't want to divorce, so he went to Prophet ﷺ and asked him, my father told to divorce my wife, what should I do? And Rasulullah ﷺ said, follow your father. Now, and we talked about this, about this hadith, this incident, that a lot of people, especially in subcontinent, they use this hadith. A lot of Maulanas, a lot of Imam, Sheikh, they said, if parents says, you should do it. But the Actually, and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he was also asked the same question. And he said, it is a special situation for Umar and Abdullah ibn Umar, because Umar has some qualities that no other Sahaba had. And that's why Prophet ﷺ said, if anybody would be a prophet after me, it would be a Umar ibn Khattab. And he knew that that woman has some problem, and it was narrated that that she has problem, she had some issues, and that's why Umar said to divorce her. We also talked about the Shura committee before Umar's death, and also his own piety, how his Hajj, how his Salat, how he's avoiding the haram, all his righteousness was mentioned last week. So his zuhud, like his father, austerity, his love for Prophet ﷺ, while he's eating, and love for the poor people, and how he freed the slaves, and we'll talk about a little bit today about this one. Now, so today's lecture actually basically his political position and the time of fitan among Sahaba. So we know that in the last two Sahaba that we talked about, especially Abdullah ibn Abbas, the cousin of Prophet ﷺ, what was his role in the time of fitan? In the time of Usman, when the fitna started, in the time of Ali with Muawiyah, what did he do? So he was basically a peacemaker, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and he took part also in the side of Ali, as we already described. Also in Amr ibn al-As, the Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, that other Sahaba that we talked about, he also took part in the battle, although he has no intention to do that. But because his father was Amr ibn al-As, and his father was a friend and a close friend to Muawiyah, and in the other side of the Sham, so he took part in the opposition of Ali ibn Abi Talib. As for Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, he took the other approach. He was completely silent during this time. So he was so eager in his young age to fight with Prophet Muhammad in Badr, in Uhud, in Khandaq, and he took part in all those battles. But when it comes to the fitna in the time of Usman, he said, no, I cannot take part in any case, after the killing of Usman basically. And he said, no, I have no intention to fight where the two group of Muslims are fighting. I cannot take part in there at all. During the time of Usman, he requested Abdullah ibn Umar to be the governor on one of the area, and to be the judge of Medina, the Qadi of the Medina. And Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, I'm not going to be Qadi at all. Also, I'm not going to even lead prayer in my area masjid. I'm not going to want to be imam also. So his approach was a bit different. He has those things inside his heart. He thinks that if you do these things, it will be a part of show off. He doesn't want those leadership quality. He just wants to spread the deen, what he have learned from Prophet ﷺ, his sunnah, he wants to spread that. So his approach was that. Same thing happened when Ali became the Khalifa, and that is the real time of fitan happened, starting because they killed Usman, and Ali said, this is the time I need your help. You must be a governor in Basra. So Ali was trying to send him to Basra. Because why? Because he is the son of Umar ibn Khattab. And as we mentioned in the last week, that Umar and Abdullah ibn Umar look like same, and their walking, their talking was very similar. He's very, very much similar to the Umar ibn Khattab. So people used to look up to him as Umar. So that's why, and people used to obey him because of his knowledge of Sunnah, the knowledge of Prophet ﷺ. So Ali said, you have to do this. Then Abdullah said, no, I'm not going to do this. Please excuse me. I cannot do these things. Let me go. Let me spend my life in the way I do. This kind of position, I'm not interested in that. But Ali said, I am the Khalifa. You must go. This is an order from me. So because the Khalifa, you have to obey the rule of the Khalifa. Then, just to say no to him, Abdullah ibn Umar, he left Makkah. He left Medina, and he went to Makkah and stayed there. And also, he requested his sister Hafsa, oh Hafsa, you talk to Ali as a wife, as Ummahatul Mu'mineen, you has different honor. So you talk to him and tell him that I don't want to be the governor of Basra or any kind of political position, any kind of social position. And that's when Hafsa, she interceded, and Ali was a bit upset because he wanted him to do this one. And he said to Abdullah that Rasulullah said, it is an amana for the ummah that you should have to take the leadership, and you should do this one, and you should be a qadi, you should be a judge or a governor, something like this. But then he said, I know from Prophet Islam there are three kind of judge. I know from Prophet Islam there's three kind of judge. One, a person who judge without any knowledge, and he will be in the hellfire. The another one who judge who has knowledge, but he doesn't have fairness in his heart, so he will be also in Jahannam. And another one who judge with justice, and his justice could be right or wrong, so he could be in Jahannam or he could be in Jannah. So I don't want to take risk, I don't want to be the governor. So anyway, so even he restricted Ali. Now when Ali became Khalifa, and other group of Sahaba, especially Aisha radhiyallahu anha in Makkah with Talha and Zubair, and they wanted to go and talk to Ali about the revenge of Usman radhiyallahu anhu. That time, even from that group, there was a request with Abdullah that Abdullah, you should come with us and go to the Basra, because already Ali moved from Medina to the Basra. Then let's go to there and join us basically. Abdullah, he didn't join himself. Rather, he also went to his sister Hafsa, and Hafsa was accompanying Aisha radhiyallahu anha, and he said to Hafsa, you're my sister, I'm your elder brother, you should not take part of it. Avoid this group and stay with me. And then Hafsa listened to Abdullah ibn Umar, and he stayed with him. Also later on, when Muawiyah became Khalifa, that time also he didn't have any political role, any battle, so he didn't take part in battle of Jamal or Safin or anything. And later on, Marwan ibn Hakam, when he became the Khalifa, after Yazid ibn Muawiyah died, and that time already the event of Karbala happened. So the grandson of Prophet ﷺ was killed, and that incident, all the four Abadilahs, all the four Abdullahs, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Abdullah ibn Zubair, all of them, they went to Hussein and told him, oh Hussein, don't go there, these people will betray you. And before Hussein was leaving, everybody used to laugh, because he is the grandson of Prophet ﷺ. And they kissed him in his forehead, and he said, we don't want you to go there, but because your decision at the end, you're not listening to us. So they wanted to stop him, but they couldn't stop him. So as you all know what happened with Hussein, so he went there and he got killed. So Marwan ibn Hakam, after all this fitna happened, so he became the Umayyad Khalifa, and he went to Abdullah ibn Umar and he kissed his hand, and he said, you are the best person in the Arab right now, and you are the son of the best person. So please come and become the governor of Sham. Okay, become the governor of Sham. And he said, it's the same thing that I don't want to become the governor of the Sham. Please let me go, and let me spend my life the way I wanted to live. Now, praying Salah with any other groups, what I mean by that actually, there was a criticism for Abdullah ibn Umar that when the time of fitan happened, there were people were divided in the ummah, and those people who killed Usman who are like Khawarij, these are the people who came and they tried to divide the ummah at that time, and that's what being successful. But Abdullah ibn Umar was seen to pray with them, and also he was seen to pray with the other groups also. So people were asked, why are you praying with all these people? Why are you supporting both them? He said, when the azan happens, when say Hayya ala Salah, I don't care when the call is coming from, who is calling it, I will go and join the prayer. So it doesn't matter. I don't differentiate when the azan is called. I will go to the closest azan that I hear, and I will pray with them. Some of the people, because he was a scholar at that time. He's very old at that age. When I'm talking about, he's almost like now he's 76, 77 years old. At that time, people used to come and ask him different questions. Also, his slave Nafi mentioned that Abdullah ibn Umar, after Prophet ﷺ died, he lived a long life. Okay, when he died, he was 86 years old. So he was 13 or 14 years old in the 10th Hijrah. So almost 60 Hijrah he lived after Prophet ﷺ, and he was a very old man, and he never missed a Hajj for a single year. So he had 60 Hajj under his belt. 60 Hajj, he did every year. He used to go to Hajj, and their Hajj was different from our Hajj. We go to Hajj, we just do the rituals and come back. They used to go to Hajj because they know a lot of people from different areas coming. So that is the time to teach them deen, teach them Islam. So people used to ask a lot of questions to Abdullah ibn Umar, and Abdullah ibn Umar used to usually, as we mentioned before, that he used to refer people that, to go to Abdullah ibn Abbas, but then Abdullah ibn Abbas also passed away, and Abdullah ibn Umar used to answer the question. Some of the people, they ask question, do you know, like about Usman, during the time of Usman, they said, do you know that Usman was not in the Battle of Badr? He said, yes, I know that. Do you know Usman fled the Battle of Uhud? He said, yes, I know that. And do you know that Usman was not present in Bayatul Ridwan that Allah mentioned in the Quran? He was not there. And you still take him as a Khalifa? He is a hypocrite. So these are the questions for the people. And then he defended, he defended Uthman radiallahu anh. He said, no, as for the Battle of Badr, Prophet told him not to come to Battle of Badr, to take care of his wife and Rasul's daughter. And the Battle of Badr, as you all remember, on that day when the Muslim win and they came back to Medina, this is the time when Rasulullah was coming back and entering his house. He saw that Uthman radiallahu anhu is putting his daughter, Rasulullah's daughter, to the grave, because his daughter Kulsum passed away on the same day. Also for the Battle of Uhud, yes, Uthman was in the battle, but everybody was everywhere. So everybody has to leave the battlefield, because the attack was from the back, as you all know. And Allah mentioned in the Quran that He has forgiven everyone who took part in the Battle of Uhud and whatever they did. And for Bayatul Ridwan, as you all know, the Bayatul Ridwan is the time, when they took a pledge, when they went near the Makkah to do the Umrah, and Rasulullah sent Usman inside the Makkah to talk to the Quraysh, and he was very late coming back. And there's a rumor that they will kill Usman. So the Bayatul Ridwan whole thing is for Usman, and everybody give pledge that now they're gonna go and revenge Usman's death to Makkah, even with Rasulullah. And Rasulullah put his hand, and on top of everybody's hand, he put his left hand also, and he said, this hand is for Usman, because they are going to revenge Usman. But then later on they understand, no, Usman is not dead, and they didn't take part. So this kind of question was asked, and Abdullah ibn Umar defended Usman and any other Sahaba. Also his moral support for Abdullah ibn Zubayr. So inshallah, when I come back, we'll talk about the Abdullah ibn Zubayr. He was a leader or self-claimed Khalifa at that time. We'll talk about him. So that was another time of fitna. And Abdullah ibn Zubayr was governor in Medina and Makkah, both Makkah and Medina area. And Abdullah ibn Umar didn't take part with him in battle, but morally he supported him. Morally he supported Abdullah ibn Zubayr, and even Abdullah ibn Zubayr also passed away. He's been killed by Hajjaj, and Abdullah ibn Umar is still alive, and we'll talk about it very soon. His fan follower is Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and Fresh Salaf Nafi and Imam Malik. What I mean by that, so Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, do anyone know who is Umar ibn Abdul Aziz? Do you know how he is related to Abdullah ibn Umar or Umar ibn Khattab? Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was he is considered as a fifth Khalifa of Islam. So he was a young man when he's like a age of 3 or 4 years old, when Abdullah ibn Umar was almost 80 years old or 78 years old at that time. So who is Umar ibn Abdul Aziz? How he is related? This is a story about Umar ibn Khattab's time. So Umar said in his time, in his Khalifa, to all the people who sell milk to other people, do not mix water with the milk. And that time was a time of drought, it is not a good time for Medina. There's no rain or something, so it was a time of, scarcity of everything. So Umar used to do night patrolling, as you all know, to check his ummah, check the people around him. So one day he was passing by one home, and he's listening that 2 ladies are talking. So the mother is talking to the daughter. Mother is saying to the daughter, oh my daughter, mix some water with the milk so that we have some more milk and we can sell it to the people tomorrow morning. So the daughter said, no, I cannot do that, because the Khalifa had an order not to do this one. So the mother said, there is no Khalifa here. He's not going to see. Just mix it up. It's going to be better for us. And the daughter said, no, Khalifa is not watching, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. So I cannot do that. So Umar was listening from the outside wall, and he was so much impressed with that young lady, and he proposed that young lady for his son. So Umar ibn Khattab has a son called Asim. He had lots of sons and daughters. So one of the son was Asim. So Asim got married to that lady. Her name was Laila. And then Asim and that lady had a granddaughter. So this is the granddaughter of Umar ibn Khattab. That's why I said granddaughter, Umar ibn Khattab. That granddaughter got married with the brother of the Khalifa, Marwan ibn Hakam, and from that marriage, Umar ibn Abdullahs came. And Umar ibn Abdullahs was, as people say, that he's the fifth Khalifa, but he came much later on. And he was the revival of, he's trying to bring the Ummah together again. He was like, a reviver, as all the people say. Inshallah, one will talk about them. So why I'm mentioning him? So he was very young, only 4, 5, 6 years old, or maybe 7 years old. And he was with his uncle, or you can say like a grand uncle, you can say, with Abdullah ibn Umar. And he used to follow him exactly the same way. If Abdullah ibn Umar is to cross his hand, he is to cross his hand. If he is to cross his leg, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz crossed his leg. And that's why if you read the story of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, there's a lot of narration that he says that the prayer of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was just like the prayer of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he never seen Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He born long after that, almost 60 years after Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. But how his prayer was so similar to the prayer of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because he used to follow, his teacher was basically Abdullah ibn Umar. And also his freed slave was Nafi. Nafi, as we mentioned all the time, he was a slave of Abdullah ibn Umar, but he freed him and let him go, but Nafi didn't go, and Nafi became a scholar, and he became the teacher of Imam Malik. So the Maliki Madhab, if you read and study Maliki Madhab, lot of the rulings, lot of the fiqh is come from the Sunnah that is described, the Hadith that is described by Abdullah ibn Umar. And in the Hadith literature, in Hadith sign, if you study, you know there's something called a golden chain. A golden chain, and that chain is the Hadith narrated by Imam Malik from Nafi, from Abdullah ibn Umar, and from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this chain that Imam Malik had from Nafi, Nafi had from his teacher Abdullah, Abdullah had from no other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This chain of hadith, there are 80 hadiths, around 80 hadiths, maybe a few less or more, about this narration, and these hadiths are called the most authentic, the golden sila of the hadith. So these are the legacy that Abdullah ibn Umar left. Now the last thing is the conflict with Hajjaj and his date. Who was Hajjaj? Hajjaj was a tyrant, a tyrannical ruler, or not a ruler actually. He was like a governor general, you can say, like army general of one of the Umayyad Khalifa. And Prophet ﷺ has mentioned him, predicted him that there will be a man from the Saqib area, the Saqib area, and he will cause a lot of fitna in the holy city. And Hajjaj, he killed so many righteous people. He attacked the Makkah, with the caterpillar. That is the first time that Muslims used to use caterpillar, like it's like a big ball, like a made a fireball, you can say, and he threw it on top of the Kaaba. He damaged the Kaaba. He killed so many Sahaba. Okay, and then one day he was the general, as I said, in that time, sent by a Khalifa from the Sham, and he was doing a khutbah during his time, and he was telling so many bad things about Ali. He was telling so many bad things about Umar and Abu Bakr, all these things. He was not from the Shia group. He was from the Sunni group, but he was just like this. And under his sword, there's a lot of righteous people, and he did a lot of bad things with the people of Medina, the ladies and the children and everything. So Abdullah ibn Umar, when he was doing the khutbah and telling all these things, he was a very, very old man. He was almost 85 years or 86 years old at that time. So he stood up in the khutbah and he said, "Oh Adu Allah," meaning, "Oh enemy of Allah, we don't want to hear anything from you. Just finish your khutbah and start the prayer. We don't want to talk to you. We don't want to listen anything good from you, because we know what you did." And people were shocked, and Hajjaj was shocked. And it was narrated that Hajjaj on that day, because he was the most senior person. He was the last Sahaba living in Makkah. There was another Sahaba, Anas ibn Abdul Malik. He was in Medina. He was also older than, he lived few more years after Abdullah ibn Umar. But Abdullah ibn Umar was the last living Sahaba in Makkah. And he was, as you can understand, as mentioned in some of the other tabi'in, he said he was the most righteous person of that time in the world. There's nobody as righteous, as knowledgeable as Abdullah ibn Umar. Hajjaj did something, and he made some food with poisons and sent this food to Abdullah ibn Umar. And Abdullah had this food. He didn't understand who sent the food. He thought it's a gift or something, and he poisoned Abdullah ibn Umar. But Abdullah ibn Umar understood after he ate that he has been poisoned. And on his deathbed, Hajjaj came, and he asked Abdullah, what happened to you? How are you feeling? He said, I'm feeling okay, alhamdulillah, no problem. Then he said, who attacked you? Who hit you like this? Okay. He said, the one who give permission to people carry weapon in the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the haram month, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this area is a haram area, and this one who allowed people to carry weapon on that month, on that place, he is the one who killed me. Basically, he's saying that you kill me. And Hajjaj didn't say anything because he is the most probably the killer. So he left the place, and very soon Abdullah ibn Umar passed away. When he passed away, he mentioned that to his daughter. He called his daughter. He has a daughter, and his daughter was engaged with one of the men. So he said, my daughter, can you do me a favor, and can you marry today before I die? Okay, because I think I don't have much time, so marry today. So the daughter said, why father, why do you want me to marry right now? Yes, alhamdulillah, I am engaged with him and I like him, I will marry him later on. But Abdullah ibn Umar said, engage in Islam, meaning a promise. So I already promised the father of that son, and I don't want to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with an unfulfilled promise. So he went there, and the last thing he said, I will miss three things after I die. Three things I will miss after I die. The first thing is that my thirst and hunger in the afternoon, meaning he will miss his fasting, because he used to fast all the time, Monday and Thursday, all the sunnah first he used to do. So I will miss that fasting. And then he says, second thing, I will miss my qiyamul layl, because Prophet ﷺ, if you remember, Prophet ﷺ said that he had a dream, and Prophet ﷺ mentioned that if you start doing qiyamul layl, you will be like a most righteous person or something like this. And he said, I will going to miss my qiyamul layl. And the third thing he said, I wish that I would have joined and fight in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. So that his approach, that he didn't take part in any of the group, not in Ali's group, not in Muawiyah's group, and he was always out of the leadership scene, he regretted that. Because up to certain level it's fine, but if you are a man of knowledge, if you are a man who can bring some changes, he should take the lead. And he regretted at the time that I wish I could take part in the fight of the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he passed away. May Allah give us tawfiq to understand his fiqh that he mentioned to us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless with Abdullah ibn Umar, with his father and all his family, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, radiyallahu anhum wa radu an, and may Allah give us to understand the fiqh of them. Jazakallahu khairan, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.